Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
The Monday after the madness is here, Monday, March 21st. And there's also the NCAA tournament the past couple of days. The madness, of course, was the Wager Talk meet and greet this past Friday in Las Vegas. And we've got a couple of the survivors here with us on Monday on Wager Talk Today. We've got Teddy Covers, of course, my co-host. I'm Steve Merril here on Wager Talk Today. We're going to start off with Marco D'Angelo, another Vegas guy, here in a few moments. And also Adam Trigger, actually, who was also out there. He's an East Coast guy like me, but I believe Adam was also at the meet and greet. So we've got a Las Vegas meet and greet show +1. I'm the +1 for the broadcast today on Monday. But Teddy, all seriousness, we do have a great show. We got a lot of basketball as always because it is still March. We're going to have more college hoops with both Marco and Adam Trigger. Also going to look at some NHL hockey back in the rotation here. Marco is one of the best handicappers around. You've also got some NBA for us, big game breakdown between the Hornets and the Pelicans. Before we get to some advanced college basketball for the week, some NHL and NBA, though, Teddy, I want to know what you learned this past week/weekend. We had the first 2 rounds in the NCAA tournament, also that big meet and greet in Vegas. The mic is yours, my man.
Sure. The big meet and greet in Vegas. Certainly, what did we learn? We learned the Wager Talk party was pretty awesome. It was a lot of fun on Friday night. I'll put it this way. If you guys didn't make it to this one, figure out a way to get here for the next one. And I'm sure there will be a next one, but it was a blast. I mean, it really was a fun night, a fun experience for everyone, as best I could tell. Friday night, of course, we had the party Thursday night. We had games all weekend going through to the overtime affair to close out on Sunday night, where Arizona escapes the upset bid, not to be the second number 1 seed to go down. But let's talk about some impressions from the tournament, because the biggest impression we're getting from everyone, oh my God, the Big Ten stunk. All right, the Big Ten was terrible, crappy conference. That's for talking heads who don't understand point spreads and are looking to make cheap points. Look at the matchups, okay? Michigan State, a dog. Ohio State, a dog. Illinois, a dog. Michigan won as a dog. Purdue won twice. Wisconsin had a bad shooting game. They were the only one to lose as a favorite. Say, oh, the ACC is so great. Duke was favored big twice. UNC was chalked twice. Miami was lucky to get out of the first round and then pulled one upset versus Auburn, a good matchup for them. They didn't turn it over. The bottom line is the talking heads are going to overreact about everything. The Big Ten is not a bad conference. It wasn't a bad year for the Big Ten. They just faced some bad matchups over the weekend. The bottom line is, pundits are there to overreact. It's our job to figure out where they're overreacting and come back in the other direction. So that's my 2 cents on the opening weekend. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, it's funny, Teddy. What I was going to ask you was, any play against conferences, we always have to be careful overreacting to small sample sizes. And the Big Ten is obviously the one I was focused on as well, because they got 9 teams in the tournament. Nobody else had more than 6. Pac-12 only had 3. But I had the same takeaway as you. I haven't really seen any overachieving, underachieving conferences, because everything's a 1-by-1 matchup scenario. And like you said, Michigan State played a good Duke team. Houston, I thought, was the most underseeded team of the tournament as a 5 seed. So obviously Illinois got a tough matchup there as the higher seed. My takeaway, though, is we talk about single players, often take over these tournaments. We saw Ja Morant, a couple years ago, all the way into the NBA. He's great now. Kemba Walker with UConn in years past. I thought some of the stars showed up yesterday on Sunday. Baquero, obviously with Duke, I thought he had a big game. Ivy with Purdue, one of the Big Ten teams that did pull away from Texas there. These are guys, that are going to be top 5 picks most likely. Holmgren with Gonzaga, I still think he's borderline. I'll ask you, Ted, does Holmgren come back? I mean, I haven't looked into that. He just looks so soft out there to me. He's got a lot of skill for a 7-footer, but he's so skinny. I just feel like those NBA guys are going to eat him up. He only had 9 and 9 actually in that second round game. Just some of your takes on that stuff.
Well, so there are certain questions handicappers are real good at answering. Who do you like in this game? Is this point spread too high or too low? Those are all. Do you like this coach? Is a good coach or a bad coach? A good hire or a bad hire? Very reasonable questions to ask a handicapper. The thing that I hate when people ask me, where do you think he's going to go in free agency? Is he coming back for his senior year? These are questions I don't know. No matter what I read, it's not going to help me inside this guy's head. So I don't know if he's coming back. I don't know. That's one that I can't help you with, Steve. And the bottom line is, people say, oh, well, he gained draft position, he lost draft position. Draft position is largely determined in pre-draft workouts. And if you feel like you're going to be a first rounder, a lot of guys, a smart thing to do is get the hell out the door and go to the association. So, but that has everything to do with what happens months from now. Very little to do with how a player performs in the NCAA tournament.
Marco D'Angelo, I'll bring you in so you can answer the question, because I think there is some relevance to it, and I'll tell you why. Because we very well are going to have a Duke-Gonzaga rematch in one more round, perhaps, in the Elite Eight. And I think that very well could determine who wins the national title, because that's a tough bracket right now. And I bring up a point because the day after Thanksgiving, I watched that entire Gonzaga-Duke game back in November. I thought Banchero, however you want to pronounce it, took Holmgren to school in that game. And I was not impressed with Holmgren, and I haven't been that impressed since. And I do think these single stars can take over. Obviously, Timmy took over in the second half of that Gonzaga game. I will give him credit on that. But Marco, your take on the tournament in general, though, big picture. I do agree with you, Teddy. I'm giving you a hard time, but I don't look a lot at individual players. A lot of these teams that we play on throughout the season, I can name one guy at best on a lot of these mid-major programs. It just doesn't matter because, like you said, it's a team thing. I thoroughly agree with the coaching angle. Izzo's a dog against Duke. I thought that was a heck of a coaching matchup there, Krzyzewski and Duke against Izzo and Michigan State. That last Big Ten champ, by the way, 2000, the last team to win a title from the Big Ten, 22 years. Marco, your takeaway, though, for the first two rounds, we've got over half the games, well over half the games in now, but we got some big games coming up in March Madness still.
What I know is that if I'm involved in a game that goes to overtime, it doesn't matter if I got the dog or the favorite. I'm not coming out with the winner so far in the last week or so here. But it's been a fun tournament. And I'm like you guys, Teddy, I got to agree with you as far as, chatting to players and what's going to happen. That's not my cup of tea either. We look at numbers and we look at stats and look at matchups. I will say, and I've said it all year, and then what am I going to do? I'm going to break down their team for you in a little bit. Providence is still that team that has been a thorn in my side, and we'll talk about it when we get to the matchup that they have this week. But there's teams that have been surprises. Notre Dame, how about them? They do the play-in game, then they come back, and everybody. Initial knee-jerk reaction is, you had to play the play-in game, then you had to have a 3 overtime game and play your next round game. And a lot of people wanted to look to go against them in that first one. They prevailed as an underdog again, and then again got the money, didn't win the game in the next one. But you're getting these pedigree teams, the Blue Bloods, getting points, or coaches that have history of prevailing as underdogs, getting the job done. And you can't I think coaching doesn't get enough of attention when you're breaking the game down, because this is a different atmosphere for these teams playing on this stage. And then, the quick turnaround a day in between, coaching becomes a bigger factor there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thoroughly agree with the coaching angle, guys. In college sports more than anything, college football and especially college basketball, I definitely look at the coaches. And I like where you're going also with the Elite Eight round and the round of 32. That one day to prepare, I think, does benefit the better team and the better coaches, as opposed to the 4 or 5 days to prepare. And once again, if things hold up, I shouldn't say if things hold up, because Texas Tech is actually a 1-point favorite right now against Duke. So it's not an easy game for Duke. But Gonzaga is an 8.5-point favorite over Arkansas. They do most likely advance, and then about a 50-50 chance whether it's Duke or not in that Elite Eight matchup. And that would be next Saturday. They play Thursday and Saturday in that region. Marco, let's keep it in some college hoops here, and then we'll look at a little NHL on the way out. A couple Friday games I want to talk about here. Let's start with Kansas and Providence. You just referenced Providence. They, of course, have been the luckiest team in the country this year, and that's something we have fun with here on the show. But once again, getting back to handicapping factors, I think we'd probably all agree that luck factor, at least the Ken Palm one, doesn't really play into the handicapping much. What it has done, though, is kept the line short because the Sharps continue to fade Providence. And the luck factor basically is just your one-loss record is probably better than it should be, close games. But as Teddy has pointed out accurately, is that some teams find a way to win close games, right? And I agree. I don't think that's a fluke. And now you've got Providence, against a really good Kansas team as a dog. How are you looking at this one? This is on Friday. Kansas currently about a 7.5-point favorite, total around 141.5 in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, I think people are going to look at this game and are going to look at Providence and they're going to see that gaudy record and they're going to see that, they had a blowout win over Richmond, a team that, upset Iowa and everything. But if you look at Richmond, when Providence played them, Richmond had just finished, playing their conference tournament where they went 4 games in 4 days to win it, to get into the tournament. And then they have an upset in the first round against Iowa, which I was on them in that one because I felt Iowa, I like taking teams that make the run through their tournament that wasn't supposed to do it, and then is a favorite in the first round. I want to fade that team, and that's what I did with Richmond in that one. And this is a spot where now Providence, I think it finally might be a little bit overvalued. I think Kansas should be a bigger favorite here. I know people are going to look and say, hey, Kansas just barely got by Creighton. Creighton's out of the same conference, and Providence was better. No, I don't think so. One more time, I'm going to step in front of this Providence freight train, and I think that the experience that we talked about with coaching, now I will say, and you correctly identified it when I said about the coaching edge, that when you go from the Thursday to Saturday game or Friday to Sunday, the better coach has the advantage, in my opinion, with just the one-day turnaround. So the edge that Kansas's coach has in here, which is significant, in my opinion, because of how far Kansas has gone every year in the tournament, is a little bit negated by the extra days. But I still like it. I'm going to go ahead and go with Kansas. And here's a stat on Providence. The last 3 seasons, neutral court games, they're just 3-11. Now, I know that doesn't have anything to do with this year's team, but it's still a stat I'm going to look at. I'm going to go ahead. Kansas is playing their best ball of the season right now, winning 11 of their last 13. They can play defense. I'll go ahead and take Kansas. I think it might be tight for the first half, but they pull away in the second half and get a double-digit win.
So the whole thing with the Friars, how they've done this all year is the teams that are supposed to pull away in the second half, Providence just never loses contact. They lost contact in the one game in the conference tournament, and that was it. They've been really, really, when you talk about a team's MO, Providence hangs around and steals games at the end, and the Ken Pom metrics don't like that. What makes you think that this is the game that the Friars are going to let go of the rope and lose contact here? Something that, again, they haven't done on any kind of consistent basis this season.
Prior to the Richmond blowout, where they shot 51.9% from the field, the 3 previous games, Teddy, they shot 39, 30, and 37%. I said the bad spot that I felt Richmond was in with playing 6 games in 10 days and all those big wins and upsets. I don't see Providence shooting the ball well. I think you'll see them struggle like they did in the previous 3 games. And this is against a very good defensive Kansas team and probably the best team that they faced, since conference plays began. I like Kansas in this spot. And if they struggle offensively, Providence, they're going to lose separation in this game. And then you know how it is. If you're down 7-8 points and you got to start forcing threes, they don't come so easy. And that's, Kansas makes their foul shots. We get it. I know we say it all the time with Providence, but they're stepping up in class, Teddy. This is a big jump going from Richmond to Kansas, in my opinion.
Yeah, no question. As good as any team they've played this season, no question Kansas is clicking on all cylinders right now. 7 straight wins. They've covered 5 of those 7. That's the first game on Friday night in Chicago at 7:30 Eastern. And then the winner of that game will play on Sunday in the Elite Eight. They'll play the winner of the next game, Iowa State, Miami of Florida. And Iowa State briefly opened as a 1-point favorite in some spots, but now Miami of Florida is the 2.5-point favorite across the board. 2 teams coming off nice underdog wins yesterday on Marco. Who gets the win here on Friday night between Iowa State and Miami of Florida?
Well, Teddy, I think the wrong team's favored. I think they had it the right way when they brought the first line out. This is one where the public is overreacting to Miami blowing out Auburn yesterday. And the reason I'm going to say overreacting is, you said both teams won as underdogs, but Iowa State is that team that wins ugly. Who wants to back a team that's going to play into the 50s? Remember all those, good Virginia teams, those good Wisconsin teams that frustrate the hell out of their opponents by slowing the tempo down, making you work for the shot, get you into a half-court game. That's what Iowa State's going to do in this game. Now, you look at Miami, they played USC in the first game, and that was a slower-paced game. USC was able to play more physical. They escaped with a 2-point win, but they were life and death, throughout that game. The game against Auburn, even though Auburn was a big favorite and Auburn was the higher seed, they got to play the style that Miami feels more comfortable playing. And they were able to play an up-tempo game and run with Auburn, and they got the lead, and they were able to hold it. They're going to get frustrated by Iowa State in this game. I'm going to take Iowa State, and I don't care if it's football or basketball. I have an old adage, if I've got the better defense, and I mean clearly the better defense, and I'm getting points, I'm signing up for that. But as I said, I really do think Iowa State should have stayed the 1-point favorite in this game. I'm getting just extra value now that I can't pass up with the 2.5.
So I want to ask you about this one. First of all, I know you're a Vegas guy, so therefore the Otzelberger connection is someone that stands out to you. But this is an Iowa State team that went 2-22 last year. They finished 0-18 in Big 12 play, and now they've reached the Sweet 16. All they're going to do is go home, and everyone's going to tell them how great they are. Is this team the epitome of fat and happy here? Does that concern you before this matchup? Because it looks like, in terms of expectation, like Miami had sky-high expectation. I think they were picked 9th in the ACC, but they've been at the top of that conference all year. They won the regular season or tied for the regular season title there. And it just feels like Iowa State of the two teams is more likely to be happy to be here, and that always concerns me. What's your take on that?
That's a good take, Teddy. But I actually, and again, we look at, is the glass half empty or half full? I think the team that's fat and sassy has got to be Miami off of the 18-point blowout out of Auburn. I'll be honest with you. In my bracket, I have 3 of the 4 Final Four still live. But the one that I had winning the whole thing is out, and that was Auburn. I just think that Miami's going to be fat and sassy. And to be honest with you, Teddy, going in after Selection Sunday, there's a lot of people that didn't believe Iowa State deserved to even be here. So you could say, yeah, they're fat and sassy because of that. Or I like to go the other way. When people say you shouldn't be somewhere, to me, that's a big motivator, and one of the reasons why I was on Iowa State in both games, their first 2 rounds.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, guys. You would think when both teams pull upsets yesterday outright as underdogs, there would have been some hot 3-point shooting. Not the case. Iowa State was only 3 for 14. They still won that game. Wisconsin was just god-awful, 2 for 22. But Miami of Florida, surprisingly, 3 for 15. But there again, Auburn just 5 for 26. So nobody was shooting the 3 well yesterday in either of those games. But Miami and Iowa State pulled off the upsets. They'll meet on Friday night after the Kansas-Providence game. Marco, a lot of people overlooked the NHL and the NBA last week. I'm sure they'll be getting back on track this week with less college hoops. Reminder, Teddy will have a big game breakdown NBA style here in just a few moments. Also, 4:30 Eastern today, NBA tip-off Monday through Friday all week long here on this network. Marco, let's look at a hockey game on the way out. Let's talk about, let's do Boston and Montreal. What's your take on this one? Currently, the Bruins are substantial size favorite, over $2 in this one.
They are, but we're going to bring that price down, Steve. And what we're going to do is, just like in soccer, you have what's called a 3-way line. We've got a 3-way line in hockey where you're going to take the game in regulation. And I think Boston, by doing that, we bring them down to $1.50. And I have them much higher to winning this game in regulation. And the reason for that is Boston is one of those good defensive hockey teams, and they're playing a team right now that has just given up a ton of goals. Montreal, they're just 2-4 in their last 6 games, and they have allowed 4 goals or more in 6 of their last 9 games. I can tell you, Boston gets to 4, it's a blowout, okay? Because Boston, they play tight games, they play good defense, and they are winning right now. This is a team that's won 4 of their last 5 and 10 of their last 14. And the only game they lost in the last 5 was when they were playing back-to-back nights on the road. This is the final game of a 4-game road trip, but they've had 3 days in between, so no fatigue factor for Boston. We're going to go ahead and take them. And here's a little stat on Montreal the last 2 seasons. When they're playing at home after 2 or more consecutive overs, the last 2 seasons, they're just 3-12, and they play with revenge tonight. And playing with revenge at home off of a road loss, just 1-9 the last 2 seasons. I'll take the better team with Boston as we make the drive to the playoffs.
And once again, Marco likes to get that
regulation.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, you like to get that price down instead of laying $2.30, even $2.45 in some spots. You can get them down to $1.50 to win in regulation, and this is a pretty big mismatch on at least in the standings here. Montreal's 17-45 this year, Boston 37-24. So Marco likes them at much less juice. Boston Bruins to win in regulation time minus $1.50. And Marco, what else you got going on at WagerTalk.com? It's $9 Monday. I forgot to mention that for you, me, everybody else. $9 Monday, WagerTalk.com.
Well, I don't have my Monday plays up yet, Steve, but I've got a play up for the Sweet 16 round. There was a game that jumped off the page at me and slapped me in the face and said, I'm a 5% play. So I said, you know what? Let's give it for $9 today. We'll put it up on $9 Monday so you can pick up my 5%. I've only had 16 of them going back to the middle of December. We're 12-4 with my 5% plays the last 16.
That's almost a 75% discount if you get it before midnight, because it's normally $35 for a 5%er, and it's just $9 Monday. Marco D'Angelo, WagerTalk.com. And Teddy, we looked at some college hoops, a little NHL on the way back. Let's do some NBA. Big game breakdown. Teddy covers 30 seconds NBA.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's go to Charlotte and talk Charlotte Hornets versus New Orleans Pelicans. Looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen right now, really this line hasn't moved a whole lot. We're seeing Charlotte -6, total 234, basically where it's been since the open. There are some 233.5s out there. It is a New Orleans team that's on the second of back-to-backs, and they were tested yesterday in Atlanta. Managed to come away with the victory after blowing a 19-point lead. Made the plays down the stretch to win. And this isn't unusual for what we've seen out of New Orleans in recent weeks. They closed out January with a road win at the Knicks, and then they had covers at Philly and Cleveland. Beginning of February. Since the beginning of February, road games. One at Detroit, one at Denver, one at Houston, one at Phoenix, one at the Lakers. Lost to Denver in overtime. And then immediately following the Denver loss, the only bad. They got blown out in Memphis. One at San Antonio. One in Atlanta yesterday. All right. This team's playing winning basketball. Straight up winning basketball on the highway. They're facing a Charlotte team that's also in pretty good form. Certainly much better than they were playing a few weeks back. They hung 142 on New Orleans in New Orleans last week. 81 second half points for the Hornets in that game. 60% shooting for the contest. They're 3-0 straight up and against the spread since that win, including Dallas and Atlanta, the last two on this homestand. This is a fat and happy Charlotte team. There's no urgency here. They're only playing 2 games in a week-long span. And when you're an NBA player in the dog days of March and you only have 2 games in a week-off span, sometimes your attention gets distracted elsewhere. You know, sometimes. Meanwhile, Pelicans moved into ninth place in the Western Conference. They won their last 2. They won 3 of the last 4. They may well get Devontae Graham back in the lineup today. And oh, by the way, we don't think of New Orleans as a defensive-minded team. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Look at who they're playing right now during crunch time. The rookie guard, Jose Alvarado, who was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year last year at Georgia Tech. Herbert Jones on the wing, who was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year last year. I understand it's a couple of rookies. It's a couple of rookies who are playing defense. I've been impressed with what New Orleans has been able to do during crunch time in tight games, and I think they hang around here. Give me the Pelicans plus the 6. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merril.
Look at that. Teddy Covers using some individual players in his handicapping arsenal. I love it. I've brought him around already as we speak on the show. I'm messing with you, Teddy. All right, look, that's an NBA breakdown. Don't forget, we got NBA at 4:30 Eastern today on Monday through Friday. NBA tip-off here. More NBA talk right here on this network. Let's talk some more college hoops. So, Teddy, we talked about the March Madness, the Sweet 16 games on Friday with Marco, but there's actually some other college basketball going on as we speak on Monday and Tuesday. And no one better to dig deep into those lesser tournaments, but just as profitable, Adam Trigger. Adam, hope you made it back safely from Las Vegas. I assume you're back on the East Coast, unless you decided just to move out there. How was the weekend for the meet and greet? And are you still in Vegas as we speak?
Well, yeah, I mean, as you can see from my backdrop, I am still in the hotel. I've got very limited voice here. And no, I fly out later today. The meet and greet was awesome. It was great to meet everyone. And we had a great time, and the Westgate, tremendous as always.
Yeah, what was your takeaway on the weekend of action in the round of 32, even the round of 64, before we move into some other stuff?
My takeaway is what I feel like is the takeaway just about every NCAA tournament Monday. You almost have to just rip up the logic in a lot of scenarios, right? Like I'm a MAC conference guy. I went to Siena. Just for example, my Siena friends group chat on Thursday or whatever the day St. Peter's played was like, we should throw a few dollars on St. Peter's money line. And I was just like, well, you can rip that up and just throw it in the trash right now. Sure enough, they win. And now they're in the Sweet 16. So, Marco was on earlier talking Iowa State, Miami. I don't think many would have had that as a Sweet 16 matchup either. So they call it March Madness for a reason. And it seems like every year we get to this point and it's like, brackets are, if you do the brackets, are ripped up and it's just, but it's fun. It's exciting. Right up till the very last game of the weekend, TCU Arizona. What a game last night. So always a good time.
So, Adam, I got to ask you, before we get into breaking down these games, you've been now, 4 or 5 days in Vegas. It's Monday morning. How are you feeling? What's the highlight of the trip in terms of the, hanging out in Vegas so far?
Oh, I mean, the highlight of the trip was just getting to meet all the WagerTalk guys that I haven't met so far, all of the fans of WagerTalk, the people that buy our picks and watch our content, stopping down and saying hi. Without a doubt, that was the highlight of the weekend, no question. And then just, and being able to watch the games with everyone together at the Westgate was an awesome time.
Yeah, the Westgate does a great job. We're going to have, of course, Arthur DeCesar on Wednesday, as he's on every Wednesday around 12:30 Eastern here on the show to talk maybe a little recap. Teddy, did you run into Art while you're out there this weekend?
The whole point, the Trigger's supposed to say the highlight of the weekend was hanging out with you and going to dinner.
Well, of course, yep. Of course, yeah. The
good.
Dinners, it was just one big highlight. Everything's been great.
And don't forget to check out Twitter. A lot of photos out there being posted, and most of them at WagerTalk. At WagerTalk on Twitter is a great place to start to get some highlights of the meet and greet if you weren't able to be out there. And hopefully we will do it again. I'm voting for one, maybe preseason football, guys. Maybe August. Let's get that momentum rolling here. This all started with puck time, so let's start the next one here through WagerTalk today. Adam, we talked about college basketball, Elite 8 coming up next weekend, Sweet 16 Thursday and Friday, but there's some other tournaments still creeping around. We've got one game tomorrow on Tuesday we'll get to in a moment here, but let's talk about several games tonight on Monday, and let's look at one of them here. This, I believe, is the, the CIT tournament. Right? No, I'm sorry, the CBI. This is the College Basketball Invitational, Ohio U and Abilene Christian. feel like I'm talking to mid-major Matt here, but no, it's Adam Trigger, WagerTalk.com. Break this one down for us tonight. This one's in Daytona Beach, I believe, right? Neutral court for all these CBI games.
Yeah, so they reformatted the CBI, so now it's a week later and it's all at one site, Daytona Beach. I actually had a play in both of these teams' respective games this weekend. I went against Ohio on Saturday with Rice, and Ohio needed a buzzer beater to win that game, but we got the money with Rice. Yesterday, I got a little unlucky. Troy played Abilene Christian. Troy ended up without a couple starters, and Abilene Christian ended up winning and covering that game. Now the two teams play each other tonight. And my theory with a lot of these smaller tournaments, when you have a team like Ohio, who was projected to win, be a big time contender in the MAC coming into the season, I think they get to these tournaments. Sometimes you don't get their best effort in the first round, but if they can get through that sort of first round game where it's, maybe it's a little bit of a letdown to be playing in the CBI and then they win. Now they're there to they want to win a tournament at that point. And for me, I look at these two teams and there's a clear disparity in the quality of, Ohio as opposed to Abilene Christian. Abilene, they had a nice run to get to their conference tournament final, but this is not the Abilene Christian team that, beat Texas in the NCAA tournament last year. Joe Golding is gone. We'll talk about him in a second with UTEP. Joe Pleasant at Wichita State. Now they've had a nice season, but for me, this matchup is a mismatch. Ohio is the better team here. I think, they had a big lead in that game against Rice. Kind of went to sleep. Rice was able to battle back late, but I think you're going to get a more focused Ohio now. And if you're going to give me a more focused Ohio at basically a pick on a neutral floor, I think that's a pretty good bet. So Ohio over Abilene Christian in the CBI tonight.
Well, you referenced the UTEP Miners, and we have UTEP in the Basketball Classic second round for Tuesday. Look at the Wager Talk live odds screen. I'm seeing UTEP -4, total of 143 against Southern Utah. Tell me about this Southern Utah team. Do you want to be betting on them, betting against them, betting them over, or betting them under?
So Southern Utah is an interesting team. They come out of the Big Sky. I think that they were right up there at the top of the Big Sky in terms of consensus heading into the season. And the reason I think they fell slightly short of expectations, they finished second in the conference. They crashed out of the conference tournament a little early. Is they, they're a solid offensive team, but they lack on the defensive end. And the reason I think they're going to have trouble with UTEP here is, so Joe Golding, former Abilene Christian coach, who took the UTEP job, is a tremendous defensive coach. And now his UTEP Miners have figured out how to play his tight pressure style of defense. So I think they're going to have a hard time scoring the way they, normally score in some of these Big Sky games. And that's going to give UTEP a pretty nice advantage. As far as UTEP is concerned, this is a team where if they were healthy all season, I think we would have potentially seen them in the NIT or the NCAA tournament. Keontae Kennedy was out for a while. Sule Boom battled 3 different injuries simultaneously. They got healthy toward the end of the season. They won 4 of their last 5. Their loss to Middle Tennessee State in the conference tournament was in overtime. Kind of a heartbreaker for UTEP and one of Sule Boom's probably worst offensive showings of the season. They came out over the weekend, hammered Western Illinois. This team looks focused, and I think this is a nice stepping stone potentially. If UTEP can come out and win this tournament, nice building block in Joe Golding's first year in El Paso. So the number seems a little bit short. Southern Utah, 7-7 on the road this year. Kind of a tough travel trip down to El Paso, Texas. So UTEP, they've just played extremely well toward the end of the season. I think the number's a little short. So I'll go with UTEP -4 here.
And once again, the second round of that Basketball Classic is true home court. So that game is at UTEP's true home court. They're a 4-point favorite. 143 is the total for Tuesday. And before we get you out of here, Adam, let's look at a Sweet 16 game on Thursday. And, we talked about that possible Gonzaga-Duke matchup on Saturday in the Elite Eight. But, of course, Duke is a 1-point dog, has to get by Texas Tech on Thursday night. But the first game is Gonzaga as an 8.5-point favorite against Arkansas. And these games are being played in San Francisco, California. Maybe a little bit of a home edge for Gonzaga on the West Coast there. But how are you handicapping this one? Can the Razorbacks keep it close? It's 8.5, 154.5.
Well, Steve, to summarize how my college hoop season is going, I'll give you a little insight into last week. I came on Wager Talk programming and said I want to make a point to go against Gonzaga, against the number. I think they're overvalued. Neither made it out for me as a best bet. And sure enough, Georgia State gets the money, and so does Memphis. So Gonzaga 0-2 against the spread. Arkansas is a team I gave out on our hustle show at 80-1 to win this tournament. So that's pretty nice that we've got an 80-1 shot here in the Sweet 16, still alive. With that being said, Arkansas, they're going to need to play better than they did last weekend if they want to have a chance with Gonzaga. They kind of struggled with Vermont and then let New Mexico State hang around. Didn't cover in either instance, but I think those were tricky matchups for Arkansas. Vermont wants to play slower. New Mexico State's got size up front and was able to kind of slow them down. Arkansas, to me, is probably a better version of Memphis. I think is a reasonable sort of comparison as far as what Arkansas getting to play Gonzaga. Now, if Arkansas is going to shoot it as terribly as they did this past weekend, they'll get killed because you can't have an 8-minute scoring drought against Gonzaga. They're too good. They'll make them pay in that scenario. But when I look at Arkansas, I think they're a more polished Memphis. And Gonzaga just struggled with Memphis. And I would say that final score is a little bit deceiving because Memphis was right in that game. So I think Arkansas can hang around here. I don't know if my 80-1 ticket is still alive going into the weekend, but I certainly think they can keep it close enough to get the money.
Well, yeah, if you got if you got an 80-1 ticket and you made the Sweet 16, it's still alive, most assuredly. Now whether it's going to be moving forward is another question entirely. But Adam, any final thoughts on the weekend in Vegas? I know you're still sitting in your room. You see the hotel drapes behind you. Any final thoughts on what just happened before you go home? What do you got going today at WagerTalk.com, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, but just final thoughts. It was a great weekend. Next, if you're considering coming out next year, I would say it's 100% something you should do. Come hang out with us down at the Westgate. I'm sure we'll do it again. And yeah, I don't have anything posted yet for today, but Tokyo Brandon and I are doing KBO this year, in addition to our Major League Baseball. So keep an eye out for that. There's going to be a special for that probably a little bit later this week. And just keep an eye on my Twitter at TopFlightSI because I will likely have something for Monday up before the day is over.
It's Adam Trigger, WagerTalk.com in Vegas, soon to be back on the East Coast, and every day at WagerTalk.com. And once again, it's $9 Monday, folks. Don't forget to check out Adam, check out Marco D'Angelo, check out Teddy Covers, who's on a mere 20-5 NBA run. He's got a false favorite in the NBA tonight. I'm also on a nice little NBA run, number one the last 10 months in Units 1, over 80 at Units 1 in the NBA. I got a 25-0 angle tonight, backing up my best bet, which you get in the analysis for just $9. So check out Teddy Covers, Steve Merril, Adam Trigger, Marco D'Angelo, and everybody else at WagerTalk.com for $9 Monday. Don't forget to hit subscribe. We're getting so close to 100,000. Help us get there. Take 2 seconds, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Give it a thumbs up, a like, and comment below. Let us know your thoughts on the Sweet 16 Elite 8 matches, your recap of the first couple rounds of the NCAA tournament, and who you like tonight on Monday in the NBA and the NHL as well. And most importantly, Teddy, make sure they check back tomorrow on Tuesdays. We're going to do this all over again. Take us home.
Sure. And of course, even though we are a little bit late, we will be doing the opening line report, myself and Drew Martin. Give me 10 minutes. I got to refresh my tea and get my notes together, but we'll do that about 10, 12 minutes after this show is over. Let's call it 20 after the hour. That'll be our guesstimate. But that being said, it's going to wrap it for Wager Talk today. We'll do it again tomorrow, same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, and hopefully we'll be on time tomorrow. No technical difficulties. Unfortunately, it did happen today. Thank you for your patience. Noon here on the left coast. Between now and then, tonight, enjoy the games and good luck.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.